Ever since the days when Child Kit was running around with this creepy fucking set of walkie-talkies that exists for some reason, one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who is the Season 1 episode Dalek. For the uninitiated, in this episode the Doctor finds himself in a basement bunker thingy where super nasty rich dude Van Staten is keeping a Dalek in chains. Fresh from the Time War, which supposedly destroyed both the Time Lords and the Daleks, the Doctor understandably freaks the fuck out because he's in a bunker with a creature whose, entire thing is genocide. This episode is powerful in part because of how threatening a single Dalek is. Honestly, it's scarier than episodes with whole armies of Daleks. But this episode also manages to tell us a lot about the Doctor, much in the way that Into the Dalek tried to for a little bit at the end there. Daleks are probably my favourite alien species in Doctor Who. I always try to have high hopes for Dalek episodes because Daleks have so much potential for storytelling, whether you take the political angle, illuminate Doctor Who's characters, or whatever else you choose to do with them. All this to say that Daleks are neat. I like stories about Daleks, and despite the Doctor Who community being in a state where new content causes this nervous fandom-wide clenching of the anus, I try to be optimistic about Revolution of the Daleks. I failed, but you can't tell me I didn't try. And it was better than I expected. Not sure how much that really says, but, So, this video is going to be a little more loosely scripted than my other content. I've got about 2,000 words of notes, but no strict script like I usually do. This is partly because I'm working on a much bigger project that's taking up a lot of my time, and I'd really like that to turn out well, to be something I can be proud of, but it's also because I'm currently recording this from a depression nest, and earlier in the month my cat was sick, and that set my anxiety disorder into overdrive, so he's feeling a lot better, and because I'm trying to feel a lot better, I'm gonna sit down and talk about this episode of Doctor Who that I just rewatched. Please let me know in the comments if this loose scripting works for you. I'm trying some things out to see what works for me, what works on the channel. So feedback on that would really be helpful. Also, in the first video I posted in January, I was going to thank you guys for 100 subscribers, but I'm now closer to 300 subscribers than I am to 200, so I'm not even sure what to say other than thank you. You guys have been really supportive and given me a lot of really helpful constructive criticism, and it's a small number in YouTube terms, but it means a lot to me that so many people have actually seen my content and enjoyed it. So thank you. Anyway, we're going to talk about Doctor Who now. So thank you all for joining me today. My name is Kit, and this is Revolution of the Daleks. The plot of this episode isn't too complex, but it does, kind of have the plot of 2 episodes in one, which results in the episode feeling somewhat bloated, and ultimately makes it harder for me to feel like there was a point in really anything that happened. Nothing in the episode really had time to breathe, and even the strongest character moments felt out of place because Chibnall doesn't write characters, he writes soggy pieces of cardboard. Who the fuck are these people? Why are they doing any of this? I don't know. Neither does Chibnall. Quick refresher, the plot is as follows. The fam are on Earth with a TARDIS disguised as a house, and Yaz is living in it as she tries to work out what happened to the Doctor, because, see, she's really very attached to the Doctor, and this is something that we know from all the character development that she's had. You get it. Ryan and Graham, on the other hand, have had an easier time moving on. Ryan especially seems to have gotten to a place where he's ready to move on from the whole Doctor's companion lifestyle. Again, character development. Meanwhile, the Doctor is locked up in space jail for space crimes. You may remember space jail from all the promo material for the episode, but don't worry, she won't be here for long. At this point, she's already been in prison for decades, which is potentially interesting. As I think I've said before, another one of my all-time favourite episodes of Doctor Who is Heaven Sent, but unfortunately this segment is very brief despite... I don't know. There's a lot of potential here. The Doctor being in space prison could be a great episode all by itself. I hate seeing good ideas go to waste. Also, Harry Potter ain't great optics right now. Does this show know that there are other books? So Jax shows up, having spent 2 decades in the prison waiting to be moved to a cell next to the Doctor. Again, there's a lot of potential for a good episode here, but it sort of gets shoved aside in favour of making it a mildly interesting intro, as Jack breaks the Doctor out in literally seconds. So the farmers realised that Robertson, the not Trump guy from the episode with the big old spiders, they've realised that Robertson has a Dalek, and they've been investigating it and all that. Then the Doctor shows up, and they have feelings for a little bit before they investigate the Dalek thing. It was such a good idea to not script this video, huh? Basically, Robertson is working with a new Prime Minister, who they don't say is a Tory, but is definitely a Tory. And he's marketing the Daleks as security drones who'll help with shit like violent protests, and hey, that's almost political commentary. He doesn't know they're aliens, and he's like, just 3D printing a bunch of them. Now, why you'd 3D print a Dalek when you could 3D print yourself one of these little guys is beyond me, but here we are. The fam investigates, and surprise, the Daleks are Daleks. And the Daleks, like, head crab for a bit, and then get in their Dalek suits and start doing Dalek things, like killing humans and yelling and shit. So the Doctor gets the bright idea to summon some other Daleks to kill the first Daleks. And you think, well, this can't possibly backfire. And it doesn't so much, actually. This is another concept that could have taken an entire episode, but the fun idea of Daleks finding other Daleks lasts for like one scene where the Doctor is hiding from the Daleks by parking the TARDIS right next to them, like close enough that Robertson can just climb down a ladder and be like, "Hi there, Daleks." She's real smart, is the Doctor. At this point, I pretty much lost interest, so if anything else important happened, it's fucking gone from my brain. But the long and the short of it is that they defeat the Daleks by fucking murdering a TARDIS, and then Ryan and Graham leave, and the Doctor is very sad. There's a bit where Robertson tries to portray the human race to the Daleks, but like pretty much nothing comes of that, other than what I guess is supposed to be a funny couple of scenes. And, they remember that Ryan is dyspraxic for a scene. I didn't think that would ever happen again. For this next bit, I'm definitely going to say some things that sound like they contradict some of the things I just said, but bear with me. Me being in two minds about Doctor Who is pretty much par for the course at this point. Look, I'm not claiming that this episode is perfect. Far from it. But it didn't need to be, you know? It was fun. I had fun. I've talked about this before, a little bit in this video, a little bit on Twitter, but I've had a rough few months, and I kind of needed my favourite show to not hurt my brain too much, and I got that. Maybe saying that I didn't have to use my brain doesn't sound much like a compliment, but a show just being a bit of fun is fine. My brain has been exhausted since last March, you know, I'm good with this. And there are some ideas in this episode that I really vibed with. Like the Doctor being in prison for decades with all these marks on the wall to just conceive of the passage of time still existing, and the idea of bringing Daleks to fight Daleks. Again, Heaven Sent is probably just my second favourite episode of Doctor Who, and I remember Child Kit being really hype about Daleks versus Cybermen, so Daleks yelling at each other in a bridge is a pretty sweet concept. The problem is, I guess, that while I enjoyed watching both these things happen, I didn't get to watch them happening for very long. So much happened in this episode, which is pretty standard for a Chibnall episode of Who, but I will say at least this episode did give itself a little bit of time to breathe. You know, a couple scenes of sitting with our characters. Basically what I'm getting at is, this episode had two really good concepts. Really, it should have picked one. Like, I've been there writing something and overflowing with ideas and not knowing which ones to settle on, but you do have to pick. Stories don't do so good with too many things. That's why 3 companions is too many, but yeah, I guess we fixed that. I guess I'd have preferred the prison being the whole episode over the Daleks being the whole episode, because that's potentially some cerebral shit, and I'd live for that. More focus on the Daleks finding other Daleks could also be cool. Like, that'd be fun. I'm using the word fun a lot in this bit, but you know what I mean. Plus, if Doctor Who wants to do its whole political angle, then Daleks are quite literally made for that. So, condensing all that word vomit down into human words, this episode has 2 really good ideas, and I had a bit of fun with both of them, but if this episode wanted to be really good, then it really should have picked one of those ideas and stuck with it. We're told that the Doctor's been in jail for decades, but we see brief moments over a few days, and then Jack shows up, and they literally escape in seconds. It's like this. I like this. I want more of this. And I'm just going to put this here because it's one of my less coherent thoughts, and I don't know where else to put it. I was a little bit of a slut for the fan service in this episode. I'm not talking about Captain Jack. I'll talk about him in a minute. I'm talking about how this is the one time bringing back the Weeping Angels didn't piss me off. And what, because I'm brain dead, was my favourite line in the episode.
I forgot you were here.
So, my notes on the character section are a little more sparse, so we're just going to wing it. Have a little fun with it. Like I said, this episode did give itself some moments to breathe, and it did it through scenes where we actually get to sit with our characters. And it would mean more if we actually knew who they were at this point, but it was nice. It was nice to see the thing that is supposed to be in stories actually being in the story. One of the scenes where this happened was between Jack and Yaz while they were investigating the Daleks in Tokyo, wherever they were, who gives a shit. It was basically establishing Yaz and her feelings regarding the Doctor and traveling with the Doctor, trying to establish, I guess, why she was the one who wanted to stay with the Doctor, but honestly, I still don't know. I don't know why she wanted to travel with the Doctor in the first place. It's fine. We get it. The spirit of it. This was probably also the best Jack moment. I really like listening to him talk about how he feels about the Doctor and kind of using it as advice for Yaz. The thing is, it's kind of weird because Chibnall wrote quite a bit of Torchwood, including one of the most infamous episodes of Torchwood, cough, but Jack, when he writes him in these episodes, feels like he only acknowledges the surface level of Jack. I know Jack hasn't been in it a huge amount, so there's not a great deal of time to get character across, but it's just something about this version of Jack feels hollow to me. This was probably the scene where we really get to see Jack be Jack, and on his more deeper level, and I liked that. I also really liked the scene between the Doctor and Ryan in the TARDIS. I liked her comment about the yellow beanie, because I have a yellow beanie, and you know what? It looks great on me. This was really heartfelt, and it was nice. Again, I have literally no idea who Ryan is. In every scene he's been in, he's literally just there. I never feel like he needs to be there, or what he does was necessary. A lot of the time he just stands in the background, and is just sort of a presence, like a cardboard cutout of himself. This was the only episode where I really felt like I knew anything about Ryan and really connected or understood anything about him. His reason for leaving was understandable and believable. I think it was sort of the same vein as the reason Martha left. But of course, Martha leaving followed character development and her sort of being more comfortable with her place in the world, whereas Ryan is a YouTuber. Yes? No fucking clue. No idea who this woman is. She's a cop, or she was a cop, so that's a shame. But other than that, couldn't tell you two things about her. I do like Graham. I always liked Graham. He did some things that were morally questionable, but he was always the companion whose reason I understood most in terms of why he wanted to travel with the Doctor. Like, at least I kind of know who Graham is. The Doctor, once again, I think is let down, partly due to the directing. You can really see this come across. She has a lot less authority than the previous Doctors. It's really... The Doctor having authority has been an important trait throughout him being a character. The Doctor's ability to command a situation and be an important presence really aids in getting across technobabble, in getting across exposition. The Doctor having authority in a scene makes it more understandable and reasonable and, in fact, bearable that he's just giving all this exposition and explaining so many things with so much nonsense words, and I'm not really sure why they characterize her as so unsure of herself. Like, obviously there are levels where the Doctor's always been unsure of himself, but it's like he deliberately hides that, because obviously he's more effective in a situation where he's more confident in who he is, and at no point does this version of Doctor Who seem to understand that. You know, there's a lot of complaints about the scripts, the episodes that the 12th Doctor is in, but there aren't nearly as many complaints about Capaldi because he was working with the material he was given, but we really got that impression. But he really did a good job at portraying the Doctor, and I think Jodie's just sort of falling flat. I like 13, not as much as I like other Doctors, but I think she's cute, and I'm just realising as I say it that I think she's cute is about all I've got. I guess I just see the potential in 13 and I wish that she was done a bit more justice. You know, I think she's just gonna leave before she has a chance to shine, and that's really a shame. And I'm just gonna throw this in. Robertson was weird. Like, when he was in Arachnids in the UK, like, what he represented was obvious, and it wasn't great, but, like, I got it. And now I just feel like, what is he? I mean, I did enjoy Chris Nuth in the role. I really like him in general. He's in The Good Wife, and that's one of my favourite shows. But he was weird. Like, I don't know. I just, like... And I think it was really hammy, the scenes with him betraying them to the Daleks was really chewing the scenery sort of shit, but it was enjoyable for that reason. I think that's kind of why I like Dewan's Master so much. Just that bit of pantomime really gives the episode some flair. So overall, actually, I think I appreciate Robert's presence in the episode, even though I find him frustrating as a concept. So, at this point, I'm going to say that I could put in a more scripted, more well-thought-out analysis of this episode if I was up to it. I have an entire video that I spent quite a while on about Doctor Who trying to do the moral things and really fucking up its sense of morality. And if you haven't seen that video, what the fuck? It's my most popular video. Go watch it. I'm actually quite proud of it, for the most part. So the general theme of that is the characters in Doctor Who espousing certain moral ideas, but just not following through with them. And the one that really got to me in this episode was they fucking murder a TARDIS. Like, it's no secret at this point that TARDISes are alive. The Doctor's TARDIS has previously had character development, like us understanding who the TARDIS is and how the TARDIS feels about the Doctor. And it's strange, because the Doctor just sort of puts Daleks in a TARDIS and kills the TARDIS, and there's no sense that she checked with the TARDIS, like, hey, do you mind if I just murder you? You know, she supposedly has such a close relationship with her own TARDIS, and knows that it's alive, and she talks to it, and cares about it, and then this other TARDIS? Fuck that other TARDIS. I also wanted to mention the Daleks, because the way Daleks are characterized has always been super interesting. For example, is it Asylum of the Daleks? The one with the things? The eggs. The Daleks speak about it being offensive to destroy such divine hatred. So you get that impression of a Dalek culture, and it's almost explored in this episode. You know, Daleks disagreeing about things, where Daleks are often portrayed as this one, like, homogenous, just massive, the samies. I've had a lot of caffeine. This episode having Daleks disagree about things is super interesting in theory. Nothing is done with it. Nothing is ever done with interesting ideas in Chibnall Who. I don't know why. I expect it to be, but it was almost interesting. So, in conclusion, after all of this nonsense, I enjoyed this episode because I didn't think about it too much. Having thought about the episode to write notes for this really dumb video, I don't think I'd rewatch it. There's just not enough in there that interests me. Enough that was explored to its full potential, enough that was well written, enough that I really actually genuinely liked to make me want to revisit. The only episodes I really revisit are Dewan Master episodes, and that's only because I like the Master. I feel like I have such little enjoyment from Doctor Who at this point, and that's sad because it means so much to me. And I think the fact that I enjoyed this episode only because I decided to not think because I was depressed is sad. And I'm glad that I see so much potential in this show, though, because it gives me faith that it can be better. If you watched this episode, tell me what you thought about it. I realised this video wasn't top-notch quality, it wasn't scripted, it was just my free thoughts, and that's all I'm up to. If you'd like a more in-depth analysis in my next video, please find a cure for depression and mail it to my house. Thank you. No, but in all seriousness, I am currently scripting a video that will be higher production value than this one. I just wanted to talk about Doctor Who for a little bit with you guys, and even though it was a little different from my usual content. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching it. Thank you once again for getting me closer to 300 subscribers than 200 before I could even thank you guys for 100. That's crazy. Special thanks to the people whose names are on screen right now for being awesome and helping me get through this rough period. And thank you for listening. Ciao.